you get a sense of what the well-child visit looks like, and obviously at every age and stage of development it goes up. The books titles change as children grow up, but that trusted advisor, when parents say, gosh, but he's not, having somebody like a pediatrician saying, no, that is the right stage, that is the right place for a child at that age, is so critically important. And what we find is the pediatricians are using this to, as you saw, they're testing fine motor skills, they're testing they're observing parent-child interaction. So everything that you need to do on your developmental assessment checklist, they're doing around using book and literacy as the context. The one thing I'd say about Reach Out and Read, beyond kind of this piece, is the evidence that when this simple intervention, which is only twice a year, happens, the studies are showing that our parents are 4 times more likely to read regularly to their children or to make literacy activities a fun part of the home. Our children are showing up with a 6-month developmental edge, but part of what's not in this data is the emotional bond, the self-esteem, the confidence that comes when you as a parent, when our parents shut off the world for 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, and make that child, their child, the center of their attention. So that's kind of one pathway, which is kind of early literacy and getting our children to school in the right way. I'll quickly share a little bit about Summer Advantage. So Summer Advantage is for K through 8, so for children K through 8. And again, these charts are a little hard to see, but if you see the bar on the left, the chart on the left is what happens, progress of children in the U.S., progress of children during the school year. And the bar on the right is what happens during the summer. The bar on the left, the blue bar, is children from high socioeconomic status. And the bar on the right is children from lower socioeconomic status. So probably the most surprising part of this chart is what happens on the left, which is what? Yeah. Children from lower and from upper income families and from lower income during the school year are tracking at about, now again, this may not be the case, and so you have to take everything, obviously, and throw out anything that's not applicable. But in the U.S., our kids are tracking at about the same pace during the school year. And during the summer, that's when the gap largely occurs. There were 2 studies, one by Dr. Beth Miller at Nellie Mae Foundation and another by Dr. Carl Alexander out of Johns Hopkins. And there were 2 different studies, and so their results were a little different, but directionally they were both the same. They said that anywhere from 66 to 90% of the achievement gap is a result of summer learning loss. The fact that for our children, taking the summer off, not engaging, is killing them. We went out and created an evidence-based program because we saw this ourselves. We'd see our scholars have this level of confidence when we were mentoring. They'd have this level of confidence, they'd have this level of excitement, and then we'd go off and do our clerkships, and literally, the child that we had left 3 months before, who would look you in the eye, speak confidently, do their homework, dragging their book bag in, how are things going? Good. How's your day? Fine. I mean, literally, this was literally in 2 months, that level of confidence went from I am somebody to something less. So we created an evidence-based program that has several elements within it. 2 adults per classroom, both a certified teacher, the best of the best, but then also a young college-age role model, not that the certified teachers aren't young, but also a young college-age role model who can tell children about their experience and really be that mentor in the class. A rigorous curriculum, pre and post assessment, so we're watching our scholars progress and change the program if it's not meeting their need, right? So if we're not meeting the child's need, it is our job to change, right? And getting parents involved. A lot of times, every time we go into a school district, parents say, my parents, they're not going to get involved. Parents aren't going to do it. And now we've taken this program into 87 school districts, urban and rural, all in every single district. I swear, the superintendent says, our parents aren't going to do that. And I say with respect, okay, but please allow us to do what we do. Okay, you can do it, but you're going to be surprised. And we tell our parents, you have to come out to a mandatory orientation. You have to come out. And we're going to talk about the elements of the program, what you can expect from us, and what we expect from you. And now sometimes it's a guardian, and so that's fine, parent or guardian, but you're going to come to this. 97% of our parents show up. 97% of our parents show up. On the first days of the program, because we were trying to change the dynamic, right? A lot of our families haven't had the most positive experience with school, so we're trying to change that dynamic. So on the first day of school, every single one of our parents gets a call from their teacher. It is so good to have Claire in the program. What did Claire do? Right? I mean, that's the response. What did Claire do? No. It's just so good to have Claire in our program. She's wonderful. I want to know about what type of literature she likes. So during independent reading, I can try to find some books that stimulate her interest. Or during the writing time, I can create themes that spur her interest. And by the way, here's all my contact information. And if you want to come on a field trip or be part of a service project with us, we'd love to have you come. Come anytime, right? That builds that trusting bond with our families. That builds a trust that I believe translates into deeper parent engagement and obviously student success. I won't spend too much time on the program, but you see the elements, and as was shared, we're in conversations right now with the minister and the Ministry of Education to see, is there a way for us to be a partner to your work and to our children here in Jamaica. And so the program is 5 days a week, 6.5 hours a day, rigorous academics in the morning, curriculum-based, and then afternoon art, music, drama. Friday, guest speaker who inspires our scholars to think about their future and craft their future, and then a field trip or service learning project. And from that program, and from that, this is the results that happen. The program elements are not special. They're not that magical. It's finding good educators, setting high standards for everybody involved, from parents to scholars. We call our children scholars. From parents to scholars, to our teachers. And as opposed to losing 2 months reading, writing, and math skills, children can gain 3 months. And I just wonder, as we kind of set our imagination and think about the future that we want for our children, what would our country look like? I'm saying our country, I guess I really am home. What would our country look like if we provided high-quality summer learning programs for all the children and families who needed it? I'll just end with a brief story about the power of our work, and then we can open up to questions and answers. The story is a story of a teenager, and unfortunately, like too many of our young teen moms, she found herself in a tough situation. She was both single and pregnant. She was being raised by her aunt, and so they had a tough conversation about what she should do, so they decided she should move away for a little bit so she could have her child without shame. And she also made another critical decision. She decided that she would not be able to keep her baby. She'd have to put her child up for adoption. And I'll cut to the end of the story. That baby was me. And in 1967, I went into my first foster home. And in 1968, I went into my second foster home. And at that point, the statistics said that 70% of black boys in the Massachusetts foster care system would end up where? Prison. 70% of the black boys in the Massachusetts foster care system would end up in prison by the time that they were 21. I was blessed to go to Yale University, Harvard Law School. I have 31 amazing nephews and nieces. So you never know what forces move. I don't know what took me on this direction and that, but I can certainly say it was my parents who, after having 7 children naturally born of my mom and dad, decided to take in another. It was certainly the funders who found the financial resources to support the social service agency. And it was certainly people like you, my social worker, people who are working on the front lines every day, people who are working on policies, people who are working on making sure the resources, and my social worker who made sure I stayed safe and was connected to the right family so that I would flourish and thrive. So I personally want to thank you for all that you're doing, all the commitment that you have, the devotion that you have to other people's children, because it does make a difference. Thank you.